Hello ladies and gentlemen, my name is Jacob, member of the team from ubisend, and I'd like to introduce you to a brand new series that ubisend is hosting. So this series is called the Chatbot Deep Dive, and what this essentially means is that once a week we're going to be taking a look at a specific element or a key area of the chatbot platform, and we're going to be looking into how this kind of element and feature really helps drive your chatbot forwards, what you can use it for, the kind of use cases, the different functionality that it presents, and really just basically tearing apart absolutely everything you need to know about an individual feature. So it's going to be great for training, going to be great for learning a little bit more about chatbots, and it's also going to be great for idea generation and inspiration, which are always fun things to have. So as this is the first episode of the series, things might be a little bit rusty. We might kind of have a little bit of a tweak here to go as the series goes on, but so do bear with us whilst we host this live stream. And as always, if you are watching live, feel free to throw down a question in the comments if you do have any. I'll be monitoring the chat as I go, so I'll do my best to kind of answer any questions if and when they come around. And if you have any ideas for any future episodes or deep dives that you want us to focus on, again, just throw that down in the comments. You can either do that live or after the video if you're watching on demand, and we'll have a little think and we'll have a look, and if there's a particular one that keeps popping up, we'll be making sure to cover that in the future episodes. So anyway, without any further ado, I think it's going to be time to kind of begin our first deep dive. And now the question is, what are we looking at for the first deep dive? And that is in fact the Chatbot Dashboard. So if I just ping it up on my screen here, you have to bear with me as I'm trying to look at both the camera and the screen. So we'll have to work with it as we go, and I'll just make sure I've got the comments all nicely loaded up here just to make sure that everybody, if anybody isn't asking anything, I'm going to be able to monitor it and make sure everything's going okay. All right, good. So we're in place. So as you can see on my screen at the moment, the Chatbot Dashboard is essentially a monitoring area for your chatbot. It's where you can kind of see everything within the platform, how your chatbot's performing, the types of messages it's sending, and how the user interactions are going. It's very similar to, say, if you've used Google Analytics or maybe looked at Facebook or another kind of social media kind of dashboard, or even say data presented to you within your HRMS. You're going to see similar-ish things, but also quite a lot of chatbot-specific things, and a few different areas that I'm going to come on to later on in the stream. So the first thing I want to talk about with the dashboard is obviously the fact that you can just kind of set the date range. So this is kind of one of the more basic areas here, but let's say if I just go and set this date range for right the way back, we're going to go through it back, and then obviously still with the current date, click filter, you'll see that all the metrics up on there change. Very simple thing there, not the most exciting part of the dashboard, but I thought we'll start with what's at the top and work our way through. So okay, so basically with a Chatbot Dashboard, it kind of comes in a specific to ubisend sense. It's true for some, but ubisend has one of the more powerful Chatbot Dashboards, which is why we are using it for an example amongst obvious other reasons. And with the dashboard, as you can see, we've got all these different metrics on the screen. Each of these are an individual metric. Some of them here I'm going to be able to click into to kind of get a more detailed and broken down approach. And each metric is completely customizable within the dashboard. So what I mean by that is the dashboard as a whole is completely customizable. So if I just go up here and click edit, what you're going to be able to see is I'm going to be able to start, drag and dropping. It's a very visual dashboard, so I'll be able to drag the metrics that matter to me the most up to the top. I'm going to be able to scroll down, going to be able to move different metrics around, going to be able to reposition things, and obviously remove metrics here if I don't want to see that anymore. I'll just remove that metric there. So what it gives is quite a nice visual element to how you monitor your chatbot's performance, as well it's also kind of nicely showing up and kind of showing off exactly how you can kind of track your current priorities. Whatever your current priorities are, you'll just move it up to the top. And then the next thing that I want to look at is going to be the actual metrics itself. Now, I'm kind of rushing through this all at the start here very quickly, because what I'm going to do is I'm going to do this as kind of a typical, here's one I made earlier, starting off the video and showing that. Before then, I'm going to kind of move into a separate account, which doesn't have any dashboard or any metrics set up, and then I'm going to be setting it up with you so you can kind of see exactly how you go around setting up your own dashboard. So on the right side of the screen here as well, you have a huge amount of pre-built metrics, which as you can see, there's probably, I think we're looking at over 60, maybe a little bit less than that at the moment, but we're adding new all the time, depending upon what we find is valuable for our clients and users of the chatbot platform. But the default metrics kind of cover anything you'd expect from a chatbot platform in terms of actual chatbot usage statistics. Obviously, you've got different kind of message types, how many helpful FAQs there's been. We've also got if there's been any, say, helpful live chats or not helpful live chats to help kind of monitor your live chat if you are operating with live chat at the moment. And obviously as well, we've kind of got live chats resolved, the average session length, the total links that have been clicked, for you to kind of monitor how your chatbot's actually performing and how users are engaging with it. So that is what I think we can call probably the world's most lightning tour of a chatbot dashboard. But as I mentioned, we're going to actually now stop talking so quickly, stop running through everything at 100 miles an hour, and go into a separate account which doesn't have any dashboards in, any metrics I should say in the dashboard, and we're going to set it up slowly, nice and concurrently. So what I'll quickly do is I'll just click X here, and as you can see, and I'll just quickly save these changes that I made to this dashboard. Our nice lovely dashboard here, which is showing the different interactions, all the different metrics, top FAQs triggered, everything that we might want to see, and obviously as well we've also got some nice little donut style pie charts down there. But yeah, everything that's covering all of this, we're going to be looking at that and creating it from scratch. So I'll just head over into a separate account quickly here. So this is just my kind of little test dummy account that I've just logged into here. This is basically just for me to kind of test out new areas and show off new things in the feature streams, which is always an exciting thing to be doing. Okay, so the first thing that I want to be doing is heading over into the dashboard, and as you can see, the dashboard currently has, you do not have any metrics selected. Click Edit to get started. So this is, if you're a new client to the ubisend platform, this is exactly what you're going to see. You're not going to have any metrics. Obviously, depending, we might have previously helped you out with building a few metrics in, kind of, and whatnot. So it does kind of depend a little bit on your circumstances, but if you're kind of a self-starter, you might be seeing something along these lines. So what we're going to want to do is we're going to start adding our metrics. Now, obviously, there's going to be the metrics that you add completely depend upon your own, what you actually want to track, what are your KPIs, what are your current priorities. So this is obviously going to be a little bit just of a rule of thumb here and kind of a little bit of a ballpark rough area. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to add some of the key default metrics that I think you should almost always have within your dashboard. But obviously this is completely subject to change, personal opinion and what matters to you. So don't take all of these words as gospel if needs be. Okay, so what I'm going to do is quite simply just go up here, click Edit, and then click View Metrics. And as you can see, I've got a huge amount of metrics here. So I've got absolutely everything from kind of, as I was discussing earlier, from actual kind of chatbot usage in terms of what kind of messages are users sending to the chatbot, to the kind of messages that the chatbot is responding with, how the chatbot is performing, and also any live chats. So what I'm actually going to go, I'm just going to kind of add a few kind of basic metrics that I think everybody should have. And these two of the key ones here is helpful FAQs, which I'm just going to add there, and not helpful FAQs, which I'm just going to add there. And then I'm just going to exit this and just talk about these two metrics quickly. So obviously, as this is just a new account that I've just been spun up for testing purposes, as you can see, there's not any data here. But so an FAQ is essentially the frequently asked question. So whenever a user asks the chatbot a question, if it has it created as an FAQ and it's going to be entered and it's going to respond with an answer, then if feedback is triggered on the chatbot, so that means after the chatbot gives the user an answer, it will say, was this helpful? They can click yes or no. That's going to tally up these chats here. Obviously, the more helpful FAQs that you have, the better your chatbot's performing. At the same time, the less helpful FAQs you have, the worse the chatbot's performing. And as I mentioned at the start of the video, you might notice that I was able to click into some metrics to show a little bit more detail. If you say had a lot of not helpful FAQs, you'll be able to click into that and it's going to be able to show you which FAQs weren't particularly helpful. So it's going to make it really easy to kind of tweak and refine and improve the FAQs, maybe improve the way the copy is written, maybe retrain the chatbot. It might not be kind of responding with the exact perfect FAQ to the question. So this makes it really easy to make sure that your chatbot's just performing as dreamed and as planned. Let me just have a quick glass of water here. So these are two nice FAQs in terms of actually, just in terms of monitoring chatbot performance and making sure your users are getting the most out of the chatbot and it's giving the most it can to them. So, pardon you if anyone was listening through headphones there, sorry about the cough, but what we'll now do as well is we'll look at something, so maybe not so much kind of chatbot performance, but maybe just in kind of engagement and kind of total usage of the chatbot. So we do have quite a few nice nice options here. You can kind of go with total messages. I think that's always a nice one to have just to kind of keep an idea, but it is a little bit of a vanity metric. It doesn't tell you a huge amount about how the chatbot's being used, but it's good for just keeping an eye on how the chatbot, if they're making sure the chatbot is being used, and just in case anything like that. So I think I'll add that to the dashboard just for the time being. I'll probably also add interactions as well, and I'll kind of come on to what interactions looks like and what it covers in a second. And again, just another usage style statistic. I think what we'll do is we'll probably work in live chat actually as well. That'd be quite nice. So I think we'll go with live chats claimed and live chats resolved. So these are kind of three typical use case-esque statistics, I think we can say, and metrics. So obviously we've got the total messages here. This is obviously coming up as 39 because of the few times, as I mentioned, this is just kind of my demo test account. So it's got a few things in here and there where I've just been playing around, but it's also nice to see. And as I mentioned previously, if you didn't have a lot of helpful FAQs, you'd be able to click in and learn more. This is exactly where I'd be able to kind of do so. So I'd just be able to do that and learn more about each specific interaction. And then obviously here we have the actual interactions itself. And this is basically covering what time of day the messages are sent and received, which as you can see in a nice line graph. Obviously there's a couple other different times, such as we can have the types of messages that come in. There's a metric for that, of course. I'm not going to run through absolutely every single metric that we had. There's about kind of, as I mentioned, probably close to 50, 60 of these. It'd be a very long and a very dry and a very boring video if we did. But obviously if you ever have any questions, reach out to your account manager. They'll be able to run you through which are the best ones to do. And obviously ubisend does offer a dashboard building service for you. But anyway, yep, so interactions, always a nice one. It kind of shows when your peak chatbot what usage is. This is nice for kind of allocating resources towards, say, maybe live chat if that's something that you have in mind, or also just kind of understanding when it is that your users are online, when it is that they want to communicate with you. That can help kind of direct further efforts that you're putting into best serving your users. And obviously as well, we've got live chats claimed and live chats resolved. Not going to go into a huge amount of depth as these as well, because it kind of does what it says on the tin. But so obviously live chats claimed, how many live chats have we claimed? Live chats resolved, how many live chats have been resolved? And I think actually what I'll do is I'll just add another live chat metric there just to help us out with our analysis just a little bit more. If I can find it, you have to bear with me a second. And yep, we're going to go with helpful live chats just there. So what we'll do is we'll add in helpful live chats. So this kind of gives us a nice little live chat section. And as I mentioned as well, the great thing about the ubisend dashboard is how visual it is, how easy it is just to drag things around. So at the top here, I've kind of got have FAQs been helpful and total messages, and then I've kind of got my live chat area here. If I wanted to say live chat was a little bit more important to me, I think what I'd probably do is I just start moving my live chats up the dashboard just a little bit here so I can kind of get everything up the top. I think what I'll do is I'll put my live chats just around here, so I'll have my live chats in the kind of second area. There we go, and then click save. So now I've kind of got my actual kind of live chat section right up at the top there, matching my priorities. As soon as I come in, it's going to be the first thing that I see. And obviously this is the exact same. You can do this with as many metrics as you want. So you can obviously have a little look through here in your own time, work out which metrics you think you particularly want to track, which ones matter to you. Obviously at the end of the day, the metrics that most correlately, I'm going to choose the wrong words and embarrass myself here live on stream, but the messages that with the metrics with the highest correlation towards your actual end KPIs are going to be the most important, obviously goes without saying. Okay, so what I'll do is quickly, this is obviously very basic. As I mentioned, this is not you must always have these kind of, I'd say 7 metrics that I've chosen here in the dashboard, but this is just a nice 7 to kind of get in and just kind of give you a rough ballpark to expand upon. So what I do is I'd also expand upon the actual kind of usage, add a few more different usage. So here we've got total messages and interactions. I'd add a few more metrics around how my users are actually using the platform. I'd go through and add a couple more of those. And then I'll do the same with, okay, how well is the chatbot actually performing? I'd add a couple more of these not helpful FAQs, Actually, what I'll do is I'll just do this now, to be fair, as I'm saying it out loud, I think might as well go through. So what I've done is I've split this into 3 types. We've got how is the chatbot performing? We've got different kinds of usage, how are the users actually using the chatbot, what time, how many messages, and we've also got live chat performance. What I'll do is I'll just expand on the kind of different metrics so you can see a little bit more of it in action. So here we've got not helpful FAQs, so this is the usage, so we know this is how's it performing. So I think what we'll do is we'll also include how many times human fallback is triggered. For those of you that don't know, human fallback is when a user doesn't want to engage with the chatbot, they'd rather reach out to a human. So this again might be live chat, it might be through taking a message, so the chatbot will take a message and send it on. This can be, but not always, quite a nice indicator of maybe your chatbot's not providing the correct answers or something along those lines. So this is quite a nice indicator of how the chatbot's performing. I think another one that I'd probably go ahead through and I'd have a little flick through, and I think as well, obviously this also depends upon the actual kind of your individual use case, but say especially if you're in say a sales environment or a marketing environment, top links clicked here, that's going to be a really handy thing for you to be analysing in terms of performance. So I'm going to include that in as well. So that kind of covers our usage. So our performance, sorry. So now let's move on to our usage. I think as well, we're also going to want to be looking at is in terms of actually how are the users using the chatbot. I think we're going to go with the actual average interactions. So this is how many interactions does the chatbot have. And I think we're also probably going to go with the small talk triggered, I believe. I'm thinking about it, but actually I think we're going to go with message types instead. So I'll explain what those are in a second. And also the more eagle-eyed of you will notice at the top we've kind of got these different metrics here, such as food never arrived, complaints, food arrived late. These are not ones that come with the platform, and I'm going to come on to those in a very brief second because that's a little bit more of the more exciting side of the dashboard. But for the time being, we're just looking at the pre-built metrics and kind of building your own. Okay, so that's kind of covering what we've got here so far. And I believe if we keep on and continue going down, I think, yeah, now let's just kind of add a few more to the different live chat. And I think what we're going to do is the average live chat resolution time, so that's always a nice one to have as well. And I think the live chat's unclaimed. Because if you've got live chats unclaimed, that's not the best thing in the world. You want to be making sure you're kind of claiming as many live chats as you can, not keep people waiting. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to have a little scroll through. As you can see, nothing to see here on our top links clicked. That's purely because, as I mentioned, this is a little bit of a demo account, so we don't really have a huge amount of data rolling through. So I think let's look at this from different kind of use cases. So imagine I'm in a customer service environment and I'm got live chat and I just want to basically be able to look at the dashboard and tell how my chatbot's performing. I think what we're going to want to do is we're going to be able to say scroll up, and we're going to want to make sure live chat's at the top. So I've already kind of moved these live chats there. I think what I'll do as well is I'll probably move the average live chat resolution time. It just kind of gets a little bit stuck, but I believe what I'll probably do actually is I'll probably move the average live chat resolution time nicely up there, so that's also at the top. And I think also as well we'll do the same for live chats unclaimed, so that should have also pinged itself up there as well. Perfect. Okay, so that's kind of customer service area, and what I might do as well, just kind of keep everything nice, is I'll also put human fallback. I'll drag that up there as well. If I can drag that up, just having a little bit of an issue. Perfect. Okay, so this kind of covers making sure that the dashboard is nicely set up in terms of a customer service environment. I've kind of got how well is the chat performing. Well, it's got at the moment 0, but in a real situation, this will probably be more into the hundreds or thousands, depending upon how regularly your chatbot's used, of actual helpful FAQs. And then I've also got non-helpful FAQs, so I know is the chatbot doing its job? Is it good at answering its questions? I can see how many messages we've actually received. I can see how many live chats we've got resolved, how many aren't, how many have been claimed, how many live chats have been helpful, the average live chat resolution time, how many live chats are currently sitting around unclaimed, and how many times people needed to reach out to a human either via live chat or another method to get their answers because the chatbot may not have provided them with enough information. So that's a great quick little kind of at a glance. I've already been able to say, okay, our chatbot's doing quite well. We've got a lot of live chats going on, and the live chats themselves are performing as we want to see. Or in unfortunate situations, maybe the live chats aren't, you never know. But as you can see, really simple, really quick and easy to set up there. This has probably taken me, also whilst explaining it, probably, I don't know, maybe 5-10 minutes or so to get this ready. Really nice, really simple way to set up your chatbot. And obviously as well, it's a slightly different use case. If I was more interested in a kind of sales or marketing perspective, I might be moving top links clicked higher up to the top, and also maybe say along the times with actual average interactions to see how many repeat users and how many customers we have coming back to engage with the chatbot. Entirely up to your own personal use case and entirely around that situation. But so that's kind of covering everything, which means in terms of pre-built metrics. So as I mentioned, we have a little bit more excited, and these are the custom metrics. So these are metrics that you create yourself. So obviously we can't predict your exact use case. We'll never be able to predict your exact KPIs. If we did, it would probably be a little bit creepy and a little bit insane. But instead, what we've done instead is we've been able to make it so you can create your own metrics so that you can track exactly what matters to you. So that means, say, if you have a sales chatbot that sells red shoes, and you just really need to know how many times has a user clicked tell me a red shoe, you're going to be able to create that metric within the chatbot platform, and it will say 75 users asked for red shoes, 13 users brought red shoes. And at a glance, you're going to be able to track exactly what matters to you. And obviously, say maybe it's more of a HR, I nearly called it Halesen, mixture of HR and sales, but maybe if it's say a bit more of a HR specific environment, you might be wondering, okay, so how many employees are asking about a benefits scheme? How many employees are saying that they're asking about mental health support, feeling a bit stressed or working from home? Any of these questions that you have, and how your employees are using the platform, what matters to you as a department or as a company, you're going to be able to track this really easily within the chatbot platform. And I think I quite like the idea of using the HR ones that I just mentioned as an example. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to create some pre-built metrics, and then just a really small conversation. The main aspect of today's video isn't going to be about creating conversation, so it's going to be a very brief conversation. But I'll create this metric, I'll tie it to a very brief conversation, and we'll add it to the dashboard so you can kind of see how easy it is to track what matters to you using ubisend. Okay, so heading over onto the metrics, which means basically what I have to do is I'll head down into settings here. This is actually because we've just slightly updated everything, I'm not going to be able to remember where the metrics are, which is always the nice fun thing to have. We've done a very slight little UI update here, so there's just going to be, you have to bear with me. I did mention at the start that we're going to have a little bit of teething issues whilst I do these. I'm not normally the one doing these videos, as you'll know. Alex, if you're a regular viewer, will do his live streams where he's actually building a chatbot in full. Be sure to go back in time and check some of those out. Not quite back in time personally, but back in time on the YouTube channel. And check out a few of his live streams. He builds a chatbot use case from start to finish. They're very in-depth, they're very informative, and they're great to watch if you're interested. But yep, as I mentioned, he normally handles with these. I'm kind of jumping in to help out with a bit of this kind of deep dive series. So there might be a few little bit rusty bits in this first episode, but we'll find out the kinks by next week, don't you worry. But yep, anyway, as I said, we're talking about making custom metrics. So here I've got the custom metrics, which is basically, as you can see, I've got a few different pre-built ones, which I've kind of just included just to give you a rough idea. And as you can see, these are things that we wouldn't be including with the platform on the date of purchase. When you get the platform, these are something that a client would add themselves. So we've got the number of pizzas ordered, we've got positive feedback regarding delivery, we've got positive feedback regarding taste, food arrived late complaints, and food never arrived complaints. So these are things which, for me as a pizza ordering company or a pizza service, these are things that really matter to me, and what I want to be able to do is add them to the dashboard. Now obviously, what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to create another metric. So these are the ones that I made earlier, but I'm going to create it, assign it to a conversation, and assign it to a dashboard. So as I said, these are kind of a pizza food delivery, but what I'm going to do for the purpose of this is I'm actually going to talk about it from a HR specific example. So in this HR example, we're going to go with, let's think of a nice one. We're going to say employees that, I'm trying to think whether we want to go for something maybe about benefits scheme or maybe something a little bit more along the lines of, let's say, I think we'll go with mental health. So employees that asked about mental health support. Actually, no, employees that asked about our benefits, I think. Because it's always nice to kind of know how your benefit schemes are doing. Are employees up to date with it? Do they know everything? But anyway, what I've done is I've literally just created the metric there and then whilst I was talking. As you can see, we've now got another metric, employees that asked her about our benefits. I can click edit. I can change the title, I can click save, and there we are. It was literally that easy to create a metric. And bear with me whilst I get myself some water there. Now all I need to do is assign this to the correct place in the conversation so it triggers that metric. As I mentioned, this means I'm going to be creating a really quick conversation just on the fly. It's not going to be the most in-depth conversation in the world, but it's just going to be a basic to show off the metric. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to click create conversation. We're going to call this benefits and then give it a description. This conversation is about benefits. Okay, and I might give it a tag, so I might call this tag benefits as well, just so it becomes nice and easy to kind of filter through the folders of conversations. And we're just basically going to change this to when a message equals, for the purpose of this demo, what are our benefits? And then I'm going to click save. So this means, obviously, normally when the conversation, it wouldn't be such a strict, what are our benefits? You'd have quite a few different ways of how this question is phrased. That will be done with an FAQ. We're going to talk more about how conversations are actually triggered in a lot more depth in a future episode. So do make sure you subscribe to the channel if you want to be able to stay up to date with these. For the purpose of this video, I'm just going to use the key phrase, what are our benefits? But don't worry, obviously the ubisend platform, we're aware not everyone will talk like that. There's hundreds of different ways that you can kind of have people trigger conversations depending upon your own personal preference. Anyway, let's start creating a conversation. So we've got options. And I think for this, I'm just going to change it. So we have a range of company benefits to choose from. And I think what I'll do is I'll just add a little bit of customization here. So I think I'll go along the lines of, are you interested in, I'm trying to think about this. I think I'll call this out of work. Do I need the old hyphens in between out of work? I'm not too sure. Let's just go with out of work benefits. I'm sure if I've made some grammar mistakes, feel free to correct me. Grammar isn't always my strongest point here. More prefer building chatbots. But anyway, so are you interested in our out of work benefits? And I think I'll put or in work benefits. We'll leave it at that. And then what I'm going to do is I'm just going to add some quick replies and I'm going to put out of work benefits there and in work benefits here. As I did mention, I think I've said it quite a few times now, so I'm going to try not to repeat myself too much. The main focus of this isn't about building the conversation itself. We're going to have loads of different episodes about how you actually build conversations and create messages. For me, and for this episode here, we're just basically focusing on creating a pre-built metric and the dashboard. So I'm just going to fly through this step a little bit. Anyway, that's the first step, and people are going to have the option of either choosing out of work benefits or in work benefits. And I think what I'll do is I will just say, we'll call this one out of work benefits. And when the user sends a message which equals out of work benefits, we're going to move them on to this step. So we're going to click continue and we're going to say, great stuff. Here is the list. Obviously this isn't the exact kind of thing that you'd have. And then, we're going to include a URL to out of work benefits. So this isn't the most exciting conversation in the world that you could create, but just for the purpose of this example, and I think I'll just put example.com/out of work benefits there. Okay, perfect. And obviously as well, we also have the option to put it into Dutch. Obviously there's a huge amount of different languages that you can use with ubisend. At the moment I do have Dutch for a purpose of a few other little demos that we got planned up in the future, set up on this channel. Obviously I don't need to put anything actually in the Dutch version here, so as we're not in Dutch, it's not going to show, so I'm just going to leave this as placeholder for when the time comes. But so then I'll click create. All this essentially means is that what we have here is users, as long as they're speaking English, and the platform will know that they are in English, which we'll come on to in a much later video. But what we'll have here is they'll be in English, so they'll just be following this English tree here. Just basically ignore the little bit about the Dutch that you saw on my screen earlier. So that is for when they click out of work benefits. Let's just get the other option for when they click in work benefits. So we'll call this in work benefits to keep it nice and orderly, and we'll put in work benefits there, so that's just how it knows to take them this way. And we'll put, again, great stuff. Obviously, here's a list of our in-work benefits. And we'll go along with action, and again, we'll add another URL. This time the link won't be in out of work benefits, it's going to be in work benefits. And we're going to call this in work benefits. And again, with the Dutch version here, this is just getting ready for a future video, so we're just going to call that placeholder. They're never actually going to see that. So what we've got here is essentially when a user asks about the benefits, they're going to be given the option of choosing out of work benefits or in work benefits, and then they're going to go down into two different elements of the conversation tree depending upon what their answer is. But if you might recall, when I was doing this originally, I've kind of done this a little bit on the fly, as I'm sure you're probably going to be able to tell, but I only created a metric which was purely just employees asking about benefits. And as I've made this conversation, I've realized we've got two different types. I actually want to learn about each different type differently, so I have made a mistake. I need to go back and change it. What I'll do is I'll head over into Analyze and then Custom Metrics, and I can see I've got employees that asked about our benefits. I'm instead going to change this to employees that asked about in work benefits. Click Save, and then I'm going to create a new one called employees that asked about out of work benefits, and click Save right there. Okay, perfect. So now we've got these two different elements here, and what I'm going to do, these two bit different metrics, sorry, and what I'm going to do is tie them to the conversation. So if I just head over into Builder and just find that conversation that I was just working on here. So I believe this will be in the second row. Sorry, my internet speed is having a little bit of trouble while streaming and recording at the same time. We're going to go with benefits here. Perfect. So as we can see, we've kind of got this loaded up. Okay, perfect. What we need to do is basically when a user reaches this step in the conversation, so as you can see this little one here, we're going to want to increase the metric for the amount of people that asked about out of work benefits. So we're going to go up onto this step here. So when they go down this arrow path essentially, so when they follow the left flow, I believe that's the phrase, and transitions. So when they go to out of work benefits, we want to add the metric, which is employees that asked about out of work benefits. And we're going to do the same for when they go to in work benefits, which is the right side of the flow. Oh, I'm recording a video, so I need to go the other way. The right side of the flow. You're right, Milo. It's always very confusing when you're kind of mirrored in the screen there. But so we've got in work benefits. So again, we're going to add another metric, which is they are going to be heading down to the employees that asked about in work benefits. We're going to click Save on both of these. Kind of wish I'd picked things with slightly more different names rather than in work and out of work. That gets a little bit confusing just purely because they've got very similar names. But as you're going to be able to see, when they go down to the out of work benefits, it's going to trigger. When they go down to the in work benefits, it's going to trigger the metrics respectively. No, I never know how to say that word, embarrassing myself again. What I'll do is I'll just head over into this dashboard, which is what we've just been creating earlier, and I'm just going to add these metrics in. So this is really nice, really simple here. I'm going to click Edit. And I think what I'll do is I will click myself on View Metrics. And as you can see, the new metrics that we've added and created ourselves are the ones that are sitting just here. So we've got employees that asked about in-work benefits, employees that asked about out of work. And I'll just quickly click Add on both of these. So they are now nicely within the metrics. As you can see, they've just appeared down here at the bottom. I can either add them up at the top, I can add them somewhere else. I might just throw them here for the time being. Yeah, I think, I'll throw them right up to the top. So I'll just throw them up there. And what they would have done is they would have appeared their way over here. I will now click Save. I think I actually forgot to finish moving one, so that's kind of jumped off. So yeah, unfortunately, I think I accidentally deleted one in the process of me moving it up there, but as you can see, and as you can understand from the premise of this, very nice, very easy to do, and I've now just added completely custom metric to the dashboard that tracks exactly what me, as an organisation, as a HR department, I wanted to know about how people are using our benefits scheme. Are they asking the chatbot? Are they clued up? Do we need to maybe onboard employees to the benefits scheme? Have maybe a little bit of a mini initiative going around the company, just further educating people to what's going on? Well, I'm now going to be able to get a bit more insight into whether this is needed. Is this something we should be allocating resources and budget to? The chatbot platform is going to tell me literally all I need to do is click in dashboard, and it's right there in the bottom left. It's going to say exactly how many people are asking using this. Really simple to do, really easy to set up, and obviously on the fly I had to create a quick conversation there. If you imagine, I had already pre-prepared a conversation, which might be something that we will look at doing in the future just to save you having to watch these conversations. But if you imagine I'd already done so, this would have literally taken me absolutely seconds to kind of pull, or minutes I should say, to pull together. And it's really nice, really custom way of managing your chatbot. So kind of just a quick summary of what we've looked at so far is we've obviously kind of looked at how the dashboard is, and the dashboard is essentially an area where you get to kind of record and analyze the different performance of your chatbot platform. Oh, it's just started to absolutely chuck it down with rain where I am currently in the world. It is hammering it down. I apologize if you can hear that on the video. But yep, so obviously we're going to be able to look at all of this, and as well we can obviously add a huge range of pre-built metrics, 50 to 60 odd, and this is increasing all the time, so if you're watching this video in 8-9 months it might be even more like 70 to 80. And also as well you can add your own custom metrics and track them in the platform, move everything around to match your current priorities. So there's quite a lot that's been covered, and I think what I'll do just quickly just to end this video here is I'm just going to head over into a UBHR dashboard, which is another one of our different accounts that we have open, and this is going to show you, again, sorry, mine, it's been a tad on the slow side because I'm streaming at the same time. And what I'll do is I'll show you a dashboard with actual metrics in, which I showed you at the start, just in case you're one of the viewers that have just tagged along a little bit late. So as you can see, this is a dashboard which has actually kind of got a lot of metrics in. This is again another one of our dummy dashboards that we just kind of use for the purpose of showing off. This has got metrics, this has got real data that we've got in. You can see the different interactions when they regularly happen. Here you can see the top FAQs triggered. So as you can see, another HR example, most people are asking where can they find the employee handbook, they want to speak to someone in HR, how much maternity leave do they get. There's a huge amount that people are asking, and obviously as well, we're kind of able to look at the different live chat resolution time, the different messages per intervals, when is it that messages are being sent, what days are they, is it towards the end of the month the most, is it different times? Loads that you can do there, and obviously as well you can filter this by monthly, weekly, quarterly, depending upon your current priorities. I did say at the start, I'm not going to go through every single different type of metric we have. We'd be here for a very long time and this would be quite a dry video. But as you can see, once there's actually real data that you can action within the dashboard, it becomes a really powerful tool for you to kind of analyze performance and actually start suggesting changes and implementing solutions or different initiatives that benefit the whole business, not just the department using the chatbot. Really powerful way to do it. And I think what I'll do is I'm going to bring this video to a slight close here. This is a little bit shorter than some of our normal videos and not some of our normal live streams. As I mentioned, please do stick around for this last little bit here. As this is the start of our new deep dive series, we're going to be changing a few things up as we go. We're going to be trying out a few different things. It's a live stream. It's a nicer way to kind of interact with different people that are on. Always feel free to throw a shout out if you've got any kind of specific elements that you want to talk about or you want to see us talk about specific parts of the platform. And as well, also, please do kind of mention that some videos might be longer than others, some videos might be shorter, completely depending upon the feature. Say, for example, the conversation builder, I can already tell you right now, that's probably going to be a 3, maybe 4-part series because there is a lot to cover. It is an incredibly powerful conversation builder. Make sure you subscribe to the channel so you get updates of when we start covering this. It's basically leading the way in kind of chatbot technology and automation. So this is really the kind of thing that you want to be learning about, making sure you're going to get some great ideas and inspiration for how you can use them to kind of drive a business forward, whether it's your own business or whether it's one of your clients. Absolutely loads that you can be doing there. But in the meantime, thank you very much for watching. This has been Jacob from ubisend, and I'll see you later.